to see that the true understanding of health reform, when understood intelligently, would show us what is actually happening in America right now. Because God intended that Seventh-day Adventists were to shine like light in the midst of darkness. God wanted us to be the head and not the tail. He wanted us to be above and not beneath. He wanted us that through the experience of health reform, that we were to be known to the world, to the masses. You know that, don't you? I mean, do you understand literally? If you read the Spirit of Prophecy, it says that through the work of ministry of healing, through the health reform and medical missionary work, that God intended that Seventh-day Adventists were to be known to the world. Now think of it. How many have ever heard of Kellogg? I'm not talking about Battle Creek Kellogg. I'm talking about the cereal Kellogg's. You've heard of that, haven't you? Well, that came out of the health reform word. How many have ever heard of General Mills, the other brand? That came out of health reform. That man went down to the sanitarium and learned about how to make cereal like that. Well, there's another cereal. You don't know its first name, but I'm going to tell you. The first name of the cereal was called Elijah's Manna. Say that with me. Elijah's Manna. Now you say, what are you talking about? This man came down to the sanitarium. You know what it's called today? It's not called that today. You know what it's called today? Elijah's Manna is actually called grape nuts. Came from Seventh-day Adventists. The man wasn't Seventh-day Adventist, but he came down to the sanitarium, learned the health reform work, and as a result, as I could go down the list, kings and leaders of nation, that they were known, they were all trembling in and running into Battle Creek. Why? Because God gave us a message. I believe that if we understood, the Bible doesn't call it that, Spirit of Prophecy doesn't call it that. You know what Spirit of Prophecy calls it? It says it is like the right what? Arm. And the right hand is to the body. Now, do I take that right arm with me once a day? Once a week? Once a month? When do I take that right arm with me? Every day. Every day. And I believe that when we understand it this way, there won't be a need of doing it this way. I believe that we will combine the gospel and the medical missionary work all the time. Amen. Do you want the work to be finished? Yes, this is how it's going to be finished, brothers and sisters. I believe that the greatest issue we need to understand is, why is Jesus in the most holy place? Someone said, I thought you were talking about health reform. We are. And I believe that the reason why health reform and medical missionary work has been cast out is because we've lost the purpose of health reform. So before we start talking about the methods and the practices, we'll talk about that sometime before the day is over with. But before we do, we need to understand the purpose. Because listen now, when salt loses its savor, what do you do to it? You cast it out. And do you know why medical missionary work has been cast out from the remnant church and health reform? Is because we've lost its savor.